It's Wednesday, February the 12th. I'm Todd Duplantis, and welcome to Up to the Minute, your HCC news and events. We got some special guests here joining me for the show today. Our board chair, Trustee John Hansen, joining us for Up to the Minute. Thank you for joining us on the show this morning.
My pleasure, of course.
And we've got the chief who makes a regular appearance every Wednesday, HCC Police Chief Greg Cunningham. Thanks again for being here on your normal Wednesday appearance. You're becoming an old pro at this.
That's what they tell me.
And Trustee Hansen is a new pro joining us here. Now, you're the board chair for 2020. Congratulations on the election. You've been elected back at the end of the year. For folks who aren't aware how the board chair is selected and what the role is, tell us what the role is for the board chair with the Board of Trustees.
Well, the selection process is pretty simple. We have an election at the January board meeting.
Okay.
Any one of the 9 trustees theoretically can put themselves up to be the board chair. In actual fact, there's a lot of maneuvering that goes on ahead of time behind the scenes because, frankly, we take seriously who our board chair is going to be. The role, I think, of the board chair, obviously each person who's elected has their own vision of what the board chair ought to be doing. But I see the board chair not as a person who is attempting to achieve individual goals. You still have them as a district trustee. But your job as chair is to facilitate the discussions amongst the trustees and hopefully create an environment in which the board can realize a consensus on the variety of issues that we deal with. And it can make a difference. I have to say the first 4 years I spent on the HCC board, and I'd previously been 22 years on the board in Alief ISD.
Right.
There's been a fair amount of polarization on the board, which makes it very difficult for the chancellor to develop a program and maintain reliable support for it. And the evidence is that there were just a lot of 5-4 votes.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's how trustees choose to vote, of course, that's their call because they're elected by their districts. But it's not a good thing to see happen. And I've set a goal of myself to try to create a different environment because we have 4 new trustees this year.
Which is unique. You really don't have 4 new trustees coming in at one session.
It's possible that it's happened before, but it's the most new trustees we've had at one time in my personal contact with HCC, even prior to when I was on the HCC board. But there can be danger in having a lot of new people, but it's an opportunity. And if you use it properly to where we bring everybody in, get them to feeling a part of the team, and that they have a role to play. They have goals that they've brought with them from their district. And part of our job is to try as best we can to reflect all the goals that the individual trustees have brought with them. Sometimes they're in conflict and then you have to make decisions, but you hope that most of those goals are of a nature that they can be subsumed into the general decisions that the board makes.
Now, you're the trustee for District 6 in addition with being the board chair. And I know you had a recent event that you were part of that really affects District 6 and especially the Alief School District and one particular high school. It was called the Harris County Promise. This is kind of a unique program, I guess, in some ways, but tell us about this because from what I understand, it affects a number of students with getting an education that's not just affordable, but paid for, correct?
Well, HCC is getting into Harris Promise now with this adoption of this new campus. Lone Star and San Jacinto College had both been participating in Harris Promise. HCC had not been. And so Alief Taylor High School has now been adopted by Harris Promise. And what it's about, it's very typical of the various Promise programs that are being developed these days. There are a number of students, and the numbers that they've given us are that initially there will be a guaranteed minimum of 200 students out of Taylor High School who, if they attend HCC, and it's required that you come to the community college. It's not a support for students going to the baccalaureate
Right.
colleges. They get a guarantee of the full cost of their tuition and fees, plus a substantial stipend for their books, which for anybody who's not been to college yet,
Yeah.
that's a big
It's
item
monumental.
these days.
Absolutely.
When you're in a community college, you can end up spending as much on your books as you do on your tuition and fees.
You know, the discussion on the national level has been for the last couple of years free tuition or
Right.
free college. When you look at community colleges and where we are with our cost between the federal grants we have and the scholarships, realistically, we're almost there because from what I understand, speaking with the financial aid folks, getting a student a loan is the last choice. What they want to do first is get them hooked up with a grant or a scholarship, and the little bit left we'll get with the loan if we have to. Do you see us moving in that direction in the future?
Well, there's certainly been a lot of interest on the board. The chancellor's tried to make the point that we are fairly close to
Right.
actually achieving it for the students that have significant financial need. My A-Leaf experience showed me that there are a couple of problems, and they're not easily dealt with. And those problems are, number one, you have students who are, I think the term that's favored these days is undocumented, and they can't participate in the federal grant competition. But there is a state level called the Texas FAFSA.
For the DACA students.
Yes,
Right.
and they can participate in that. Unfortunately, no matter what financial aid program you try to get into, you're still required to produce family financials.
Right.
And there's a lot of problems in immigrant families particularly, that they're extremely reluctant to produce their financial statements. My best guess is that it reflects a culture in the countries they came from where the government is the enemy.
Yep.
And you don't want to tell them anything about what you're doing that you don't have to.
Sure.
It's possible that some of them aren't filing federal tax returns, but obviously we don't really know.
Right.
And it's certainly not something I've ever tried to delve into. But I do know that a lot of students have that problem, and particularly from the A-Leaf district where I spent so many years. The percentage of students who are undocumented is probably fairly high. We've never really determined exactly what it is, but I think it's quite substantial. So it has a real impact on this financial aid issue. But there are about half the students at HCC at this point
Right.
that are on grants.
You mentioned something real important about families who are undocumented not wanting to report to the
Right.
government. And we've got a census coming up, which is a big thing for Houston Community College because we've got to get a correct head count of how many students we have going here, undocumented or documented. And we've also got a big promotional public service announcement push that we're doing right now to get people to report to the census, to get a good head count, because that, and you would know better than this, that's going to affect the money we receive to support our students.
I think our financial support from the feds and from the state is primarily based on the student head count. But the city, the county, the state of Texas, they all depend quite heavily on the population count.
Right.
And if we undercount our population, we're going to be short on dollars to meet the commitments for all those other levels of government.
Absolutely. One final thing I want to talk to you about, because it's a big deal out at the A-Leaf area, and especially the West Houston Institute, the entrepreneurship program. They have a small business plan competition. We've had a number of guests on this show talking about that, and I know that you must be familiar with that as well. It's a big deal this time of year.
I've attended several of the business plan competitions and listened to the presentations. They're surprisingly good.
They really are. And the thing that surprised me about it is it's not just about winning this competition, it's about getting in the competition.
Right.
And we've had a number of the businesses that have benefited from this, and very few of them are the winners. They're the ones, though, who get there and get a chance to meet with the mentors and the residents who are the entrepreneurs and residents to get a good business plan put together. It's instrumental for helping that community.
Something that you might not immediately think about is that the makerspace that we have out
Right.
of the West Houston Institute, a place where you can produce things with 3D printers, and we even have sewing machines out
Yeah.
there now, laser cutters. There's a whole carpentry shop. This is actually supporting some of the entrepreneurship efforts that we're doing, because people who are starting part-time small businesses are coming in and making significant use of that makerspace
Right.
as a way of producing products they can go out and sell. One of the really popular things these days are shirts, T-shirts and polo-type shirts, that sort of thing. I was amazed at how many people are coming through doing those.
Using our makerspace
Yes.
for that. That's amazing. John Hansen, District 6 trustee and our board chair, thanks for joining us on the show today. We'd like to keep you around for the rest of the show. We got a
Right.
few announcements we're going to go through, and we'll get you to comment on that as well.
Okay?
We've got Chief Cunningham here every Wednesday. Good morning once again. We're talking about this morning crime statistics, and we kind of touched on this last week or maybe the week before. Do we see a reflection around our district with the citywide crime statistics as opposed to what we have on the campuses? Is there a reflection between the two?
So it's really interesting. In fact, when you take a look at them, they're dynamically different, right? Obviously, the city's crime statistics impact all of us, right? And how we live our lives day to day. What's interesting is that HCC has actually seen a reduction in crime in 2019. We've got a link to where you can take a look, and we've got a report out there that shows you the last year's numbers and then, or I'm sorry, 2018's numbers
Right.
and then 2019's numbers. The reason why you need to be careful of these statistics, though, right? Because, you know, statistics you can't let it
Right.
drive your life. What ends up happening is a really good awareness piece, though, right? So when you take a look at Houston, and unfortunately, because we are such a large city, competing for the third largest in the nation now,
And
right?
growing daily.
And growing every minute, right? So our numbers look really, really large. But when you begin to compare them to the number of people in the population, it's a little bit more reasonable.
Right.
Now, what does that mean to all of us? There's pockets of crime in Houston that need to be managed and controlled. HPD does a great job. Harris County does a great job, right? And they're working on that every day. But we also have these little pockets called campuses,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And we work very, very hard to make sure that some of those crime problems don't come onto the campus. We've been really successful with it. But these reports, called uniform crime reports, they're a great way to just kind of take a snapshot. Bear in mind, it is that, a snapshot. And it's about reported crime, which don't let me get away from that one because it's really important. But what they do is they compare things. In fact, if you look at these documents that we have in front of us, the UCRs for the city of Houston list the exact same crime categories as HCC lists for theirs.
Right.
So that we're really an apples to apples comparison. And HCC does very, very well with it, right? But that's because of the community. And let me follow up this part. What we're reporting in these documents are reported crimes, people that come to us
Yeah.
and tell us.
Which
right?
is not all the crimes, unfortunately.
It's not all the crimes.
Right.
And it really speaks back to what the board chair was talking about before. Some undocumented folks in the area are a little
Yeah.
apprehensive about approaching officials of any kind, law enforcement or anyone else. And what I'd like to say is that those communities can really rest assured. The Texas law in the last several years has even protected them so that if they come to law enforcement, their documentation does not even come up as a subject and can't, right? So they should feel very, very confident. Bear in mind, as the census drives services, right, everything from welfare services to social services, UCRs drive police protection.
Right.
Right? And if you're not reporting crime, then what happens is the police are under the impression that you don't need services in those communities as well. So you really are doing yourself a favor by coming forward and making sure that we know. We can't promise you resolution all the time.
Yeah.
But by
you
knowing
need to
that
know about it.
knowing that it's an issue does the prevention pieces, right?
Well, it goes back to that, if you see something, say something. It's the basic fact that they've been teaching us for years.
Absolutely.
You know, so report something to you, even if you see something, report it to the police, because you try to resolve it, but in one way or another, we have to know what's going on.
Absolutely. And quite honestly, I'm cheering for our community. When I say our community, I mean everybody in HCC. There's a reason why we're doing really well and why crime is going down. And while the police would love for you to think that it was all us, it's not. It's the community, and it's you guys buying in, supporting us, and moving in the right direction, making sure that we're aware of where we need to be.
Well, Chief, we've got to commend you on that, and and the fact that there's we get a lot of education. I know you're out there, and there's a lot of education as to what the police do and what the police need done around HCC, and you guys do a great job at that and getting that word out. One thing I guess a part of keeping track of people and who's on our campuses, we've got new parking permits. We're asking all of our staff to get. We've been banging this drum for the last couple of months, but hccs.edu/parking, that's where you can go pick out or print out your parking permit.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for beating this drum as loud as you have. We're seeing numbers of folks going to the website and getting them. Bear in mind, we are starting our enforcement now, so if you don't have one, you may start seeing tickets here, and we don't want to do that.
We don't want that to happen,
right?
Yeah, but we're past the window of February 1st.
We sure did.
Yeah.
So if you will go to that site, register, get your permit, and let's get that displayed.
Right.
We'd really appreciate that, and we've already talked about all the benefits of
We
doing
have
it, right?
And we've got new badges coming. I see the trustees got his new badge right there. And,
He does.
And a lot of folks at the district have them, and you're getting campus to campus. Eventually, everyone's going to have one.
And I have great news here, right? So not only have we been doing badges for folks that we've been interacting with, but we've also been training the folks out in the colleges. So at this point, don't make me name them, but we have several colleges that are now able to make those badges for you.
Oh,
right?
so you guys don't have to go out and do them yourself.
We're still going out, right?
Right.
Because we're supporting this program. It's a lot of employees to do, but a lot of the colleges are now, the folks are trained and they got their software updated, so we can start checking with your badging office and see if they're one of them that's ready to go.
Chief Greg Cunningham joins us every Wednesday to let you know the things you need to know to keep you safe out there. Chief, thanks again. Stick around. We got some things to talk about here as we move forward. President's Day coming up. We're already in the midst of the middle of February. Everybody's got a holiday on Monday. Are you got a holiday, or are you going to be working?
And I'm retired. There's no such thing as a holiday.
So you're always working, always around. But and we will have a police presence around, even though we have a holiday. We always have you guys.
Absolutely, we'll be
working on
here
the
just
job.
like we always are.
But keep that in mind. We'll have no up to the minute next Monday because we're live every Monday through Friday when HCC is in session, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, right here on Facebook Live, soon to be live on LinkedIn. So we'll be back when we're returning on Tuesday, February the 18th, when classes, and I believe second semester starts on that day as well. We've got a number of things happening around the campuses, but I want to get to the arts in jazz. Did you guys know we have an arts line? You're aware of the arts line?
I had no idea.
We have an arts line, and that's right. You can call 713-718-6570 to learn everything about HCC's arts. Now, we have galleries across the campus. One of the things that I've always been impressed with was HCC has galleries everywhere, just about in every one of our campuses. The one at the Southwest College, I know the president I used to work under, Dr. Fenna Garza, she turned an old soda machine area where they had soda machines and vending machines into an art gallery. And that's the one they have at the West Loop campus right now.
And the quality of the art is spectacular.
Oh, it is.
It's museum stuff. I mean, it really is.
There
It's
really
worth,
is. There's new exhibitions all the time as well.
Make the phone call, start visiting some of these spots.
Yeah,
They're awesome.
we've got a number of them going on, and quite honestly, there's about 6 or 7 of them going on right now. So call that number, and you can get all the information on our art exhibits across the district. One thing that's going on, free haircuts. We do those here at HCC. Did y'all know that?
I did not know that
Through
either.
cosmetology, and here's the cool thing about it, is they're backed up. You got to get there early on the days they do the free haircuts, and that's Wednesdays and Thursdays at the Central Campus. You got to get there early because they start them at like 10 o'clock and people line up. You tip the bartender who's a student, and everybody's good to go. They're now offering those spa services at the Southeast Campus Workforce Building. They're already booked for the semester. So the community, it's not just for students, it's for the community. They can come in and have their nails done, have a pedicure, manicure, and they're good to go. And they're also starting a lash extension service. Are y'all familiar with this? This is big business.
Not my
seen
strong
ads for
suit.
You've seen the ads for them. Well, they get you involved because it's usually a subscription service, and you're paying a $100 minimum every month to be in the service. My wife does this. That's how I know. So, and then you go in and you get your lashes done. And you pay an extra fee as well. Then you tip somebody. So it's a great business if you get involved in it. But HCC is one of the first colleges to train people to do this lash business.
That's awesome.
And it's a great thing for entrepreneurs.
A standalone business.
It really is.
Yeah.
You can, from what I understand, these students, they go in and they get trained in a few months. They go out, they can start their own business, or they can go work somewhere at a spa. They can pick the hours they want to work. You know, you want to work Monday through Friday from 8 to 5, that's it. You want to work 3 days a week if you're a retiree and you want to do it in your spare time, this is the way to go. So I'm trying to get my wife to move in. She's a nurse now. She's looking for something else. I'm saying lashes are the way to go.
The second best profession in the world. Right?
I'm telling
Right
you,
after
this
nursing
is the way to go. But you can get more information on that by calling the here we go, we've got a cosmetology line. HCC cosmetology line is 713-718-7501. And finally, we're connected with social media. We'd like you to connect to us on social media. Follow us, if you haven't, on Facebook. Follow the district's page. All the colleges have a Facebook page. But you can follow us at HCCS. That's our handle that we use in a number of platforms. But for Twitter, or no, I should say for Snapchat, we're at HCC. So you can follow us on that, and then you can tag us by hashtag #WeAreHCC. Or is it at HCS? At We are HCC, and then at We are HCCS. So those are our two handles we're using. Follow us in social media. If you're watching the show, make sure you share it, and join us live here every morning at 10 a.m. Mondays through Fridays. Thanks for coming in today and joining us on the show. Sure. We'd like to have you here again and keep us up to date with what's going on with the Board of Trustees.
Let me know when you have an opening.
Absolutely. And Chief, we'll see you again next Wednesday. Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
Keep the-
I appreciate being here and have a great deal of fun doing it. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
well, we have a good deal of fun with you as well. And thank you for joining us on Up to the Minute. I'm Todd Duplantis. We'll see you tomorrow.